right, everybody, welcome back to the channel and welcome to today's video. In today's video, we're going to go over what it takes to maintain the H2D. Now, there are some pop-ups that come up and remind you to do some of the maintenance and everything, but today we'll do a deep dive into all of the things that you need to do to maintain your printer outside of just the warning signs and things like that. So we'll dive into the wiki and we'll dive into the maintenance page on the H2D as well, so you know exactly how to take care of your H2D. So if all that sounds good, then sit back and relax and I'll get everything ready. All right, so every once in a while you might see one of these little red dots here in the toolbox for your maintenance. And I even had a little pop-up that came up in the notifications there for the lead screw lubrication. And if you click on that, it shows me 0 days to maintain and immediate lead screw lubrication needed, which are the three big lead screws in the printer. And you can scan this QR code and it'll show you how to clean it. You can hit complete or say later or go back, and you'll see in the maintenance tab here that there's the XYZ axis cleaning, the lead screw lubrication, laser module cleaning, which we don't have on this one, and the nozzle cold pull maintenance. But that's not everything that you need to do to maintain the printer. And I wouldn't ignore any of these that show up and ask you to maintain them. It is time to maintain the lead screws and to lubricate them, to clean and to lubricate them. But let's jump into the wiki and see everything else that should be included with your maintenance and how often that we should be doing it. And these are things like, cleaning the glass, the heat bed, wiping everything down, and just, making sure that everything's clean and good to go. So let's jump into the Bambu wiki and see everything that we need to do to maintain the printer. All right, so if we go to the Bambu wiki, and if you just wiki.bambulab.com or just Google search for Bambu wiki is how I usually find it, you'll see the guide for pretty much everything in here, and the maintenance guide will be under the H2 series. You'll see they have the Pro edition, like the X1C Pro that they had before. We can click on the H2D and we'll see the maintenance guide is located right here. And you'll see, I believe these are where the QR codes lead you to for, XY axis lubrication and maintenance, lead screw and linear rods, hot end clumping, cleaning instructions, all kinds of stuff, how to repair and everything. But the thing that we want to look at here is this regular maintenance. And it does have a lot of stuff in here on the laser. And if you do have the laser, you definitely want to go through this guide. Pretty good. But let's go ahead and dig into it. So here's kind of the recommended, amount of time between these maintenances or between cleanings or whatever. And it looks like basically everything is 3 months except for the X-axis assembly and the left nozzle lift linear rail. I don't know why those are at 1 month and everything else is at 3 months, but that's basically what it's saying. And really it's just going through your printer and making sure everything is good to go, cleaning it, wiping things down, making sure nothing's broken, and then lubricating the things that you need. So for the most part here, we'll go back and forth from me actually cleaning and doing stuff on the printer, but in some instances they have really good pictures in here, so it'll be better than me trying to shove a camera in my H2D. But really, so the first step that we're going to want to do is obviously unplug the printer. We don't want anything crazy to happen with that. And then I think the very first part is really wiping down the glass on the top, the door, the heat bed, the nozzle camera. If you have a nozzle camera, the bird's eye camera, wiping down the tool head. If you have a flame sensor, wiping that down, wiping the auxiliary part cooling fan. And I looked through the guide on all of this, and it's basically wiping it down with alcohol, water, and a non-woven cloth is what I think it says. Yeah, a small amount of alcohol and slightly squeezed a non-woven cloth or whatever. This is for cleaning the cameras, but for a lot of the things it just shows them with the non-woven cloth and this spray with alcohol and water. So most of this stuff is that. So I think the very first step, and what we'll go do now, is clean the glass, clean the heat bed. What I didn't see in here is below the heat bed. You'll want to wipe that out. And it's pretty cool that there's not a big lip like there was on the X1C that makes it hard to get all that little stuff out of there. You just kind of have to dust it out. So the glass, the heat bed, wiping down the tool head and the nozzle. So let's go to the printer and get that stuff done, and then we'll move on to the next steps. All right, so I did move my AMS and unplug it and everything like that to get to the glass on the top right here. You will see that the printer's still on. If you have one of these emergency cutoffs, that's a real easy way to shut everything down without having to pull this out and spin around and mess up all of your wire and hose management in the back. So once you've got the printer turned off and everything like that, let's go ahead and clean the glass on the top and on the front here. And then we will move into taking off our build plate and then cleaning the heat bed. And again, this doesn't have a lip on the front to make it hard, so it's real easy to just take everything and sweep out of there. So let's go ahead and get that done. I have a microfiber cloth, have my alcohol spray, and let's go ahead and get this going. And if you do have the laser, I would imagine you'd need to do this a little bit more often than 3 months, especially if you're using it a lot. I wouldn't spray directly on this, but you can spray just a little bit to get it moist and then just wipe it down. And I'm pretty surprised with just how dusty it is. I don't know if you can see, but that's just from a couple of months of use with an AMS sitting on top of there. And to avoid the fingerprints, clean the underside first, then put it back on there and clean the top. And I don't think it would hurt to clean the side glass either. And now make sure there's nothing on the build plate, and I'm just going to spray some on the rag and give that a wipe. Same thing with the bottom. And then it also said to clean the outer case of this fan. And again, my rag is damp enough now that I can just kind of wipe that. And then I think there's some more things that we need to wipe down, but let's go back to the guide. So, all right. And then that short amount of time, we did the printer exterior, the heat bed, the auxiliary part fan, the left and right side panel. And I think that is it. So the next part of the wipe down is going to be the tool head and then the camera. And so let me jump down to show how to clean the tool head before I do that on mine, just because the pictures in here are better than any picture I'm going to be able to take. All right, so here we are cleaning the tool head. And you'll see they're still using that unwoven cloth with the alcohol, and you're going to want to wipe everything down on the tool head, including the part where it shows the size of the nozzle and these little silicone boots and everything, and just wipe and dust everything off and make sure it's clean. And then the second piece of that is we need to lube right into these areas right here. You'll see them adding a little bit of lube in there. This is from what came with the H2D, but later on, after this is out, you can use the super lube, which is what I'm going to use today. And it does say after completing the maintenance of the nozzle lifting rail, it is necessary to operate the switch left to right on this a few times. The printer is off right now, as it should be. It is contradicting itself a little bit on there. But we will make note of what things we've lubed to move back and forth, and we'll make a whole step at the end for that. All right, so I went ahead and wiped everything down all around here, the rails, the chain up there, and I took the both nozzles off of here. The next thing that we need to do is remove this guide right here. I think it's called the dual extruder guide or something like that, so that we can get in there and lubricate where we need to. So in order to do that, we got to take these screws off the front. So I'll get that done and I'll see you when I get done. All right, and once you get the 3 screws off, you'll want to go ahead and move these back and forth and put a little bit of lube right on here. Okay, so the cutter for the left nozzle here, that was a challenge to get back in there. And basically, there's a little T that needs to go into this cutter lever and then go down and in. So that was a little bit tricky to get out as well as get back in, because there's a little spring loaded piece right there. So be careful with the filament cutter on this side here. So I'm going to go ahead and get the rest of this put back together, and I'm also going to clean the camera um, up in here and get this back together, and I'll see you back in the wiki. All right, next on the list is to clean and lube the X-axis assembly. And we did wipe it down a little bit in the last step, but now we're really gonna, clean it and move the head back and forth, make sure everything is clean, and then add a little bit of lubricant. And it says, please note that both the upper and lower sides of the rail need to be lubricated. So don't forget to lubricate the top and the bottom of this rail, and then move this back and forth. So that'll be the next thing that we do. All right, so I already got these rails wiped down, and you'll see there's a little track right here on the top and the bottom. We're just going to want to put a little drop of oil here, and I'm going to do it on both sides, and then you can just take this and move it back and forth like so. And it doesn't take a lot, and remember, just squeeze this and get a little bit on the bottom there. And then move it back and forth. And it does not take a lot to lubricate this. A little tiny bit goes a long way. so you don't have to dump a whole lot on there. All right, and next on the list is to clean the Y linear rail, I guess, or the Y-axis linear rod. Now the X has this rail, and we had to lubricate the top and the bottom of that. This has a rod. So we're going to want to clean the rod and then apply a little bit of lubricant and then move it both ways. And remember, we need to do that on both sides. So let's go ahead and get that done. All right, I'll only show one side here, but this is the rod that it's talking about. And you're just going to want to wipe each one of those down. Put a tiny bit of oil on there and then move it back and forth. And just like that, the y-axis is done. All right, so next we're going to clean and lubricate the z-axis linear rod and lead screw. So on the z-axis, there's a rod and a screw, and we're going to want to do that for all three of the screws. I think there's 3 rods as well. And you're going to want to not mix up the lubricating oil and grease. So it does come with a little packet of grease, or you can use the grease that I showed, the super lube, but you want to put oil on the rod, grease on the screw. Don't mix that up. It says, please ensure not to mix those up. And as you can see here on the other side, the rod and the screw. And then in the back, the rod and the screw. And you do want to go ahead and wipe it down. And this is probably the last thing that you'd want to wipe down with your rag. And I think this is why it's at the end of the end of the guide. And it's going to be the last thing that we do on the video here as well, because you are going to get your rag pretty dirty with these screws. So I would wipe the all 3 rods down first and then wipe your screws down. Then we're going to apply some grease. We're going to need to turn it back on and then move the bed all the way up, all the way down, and then we'll be all done. So let's go ahead and get that done. All right, so here we are on the last step, and a wonderful DJI mic decided to stop recording midway through when I was doing this. So let's just do an overview of what I did here. So you want to clean each of these rods first, then clean these lead screws. And the reason being is when you clean that lead screw, it's going to dirty up your rag like that. You don't want to wipe that all over everything else. So clean the rods first, then clean the screw. Then you're going to put a little bit of oil on the rods. And then I put a little bit of the grease on my finger and wipe it on the lead screw. Then you're going to want to turn it back on, and you're going to want to raise and lower the bed all the way up and down a couple of times to spread out the grease. And then that's it. So it wasn't too bad. Not anything too crazy different than the X1C or any of the other printers. We just want to wipe everything down, wipe the tool head, lubricate it, go to the x-axis, y-axis, z-axis, turn it back on, raise the heat bed up and down. So not too bad. We want to do this about every 3 months. I think the only thing that I forgot to include in the video was cleaning the carbon air filter little cover or whatever. And you want to take that out and make sure that's clean as well. But other than that, pretty simple. So if you liked what you saw today, be sure to smash that like button and hit the subscribe button so you don't miss the next video. And I'll see everybody either on the next stream or on the next video. Thank you for watching.